On a windswept naval training base along the American coastline, where the Atlantic crashed like distant artillery and the air smelled of salt and steel, a new recruit stepped onto the asphalt yard. She was smaller than the others, quiet, composed, her uniform pressed sharp, her boots polished to a mirror shine. She carried no swagger, only discipline. The yard belonged to louder men. Petty Officer Briggs had ruled it for years, broad-shouldered, sharp-tongued, proud of his authority. He believed pressure built strength. What he truly built was fear. And when he saw the new recruit, barely 20, fresh from specialized evaluation, he saw an easy target. "Hope you packed sunscreen," he called out as the platoon gathered. "You're about to burn."
Laughter cracked across the formation, but she did not flinch. Her name was Harper. Few knew that before this posting, she had completed the most punishing selection pipeline in modern warfare. Fewer still knew the small gold trident she carried in her pocket, earned, not displayed. Orders had placed her temporarily within this unit for assessment and observation. The paperwork had been delayed, her credentials sealed. Briggs saw only a recruit. He began with small humiliations, extra drills, public criticism, mockery disguised as instruction. The other sailors followed his tone. It was easier to laugh than to stand apart. There is a difference between testing someone and trying to break them. Harper endured in silence. If you believe discipline beats ego, subscribe now, because this story is about the moment arrogance met something it could not move. The final straw came during combatives training. Briggs ordered Harper into the center ring. The concrete floor was cold beneath thin mats. The unit circled close, boots scraping, anticipation thick. "Let's see what you've got, recruit," Briggs said, rolling his neck. "Try not to embarrass yourself." He lunged without warning. Act 2 unfolded in less than 3 seconds. A sharp pivot, a controlled sidestep.
The sound like a rifle crack was Briggs' own breath forced from his lungs as Harper redirected his momentum. Her hand locked his wrist. Her shoulder dropped beneath his center of gravity. The world tilted. Concrete rushed upward. Briggs hit the mat flat on his back. The impact echoed. A collective inhale froze the air. Before he could react, Harper's knee pinned his arm, her forearm balanced across his throat. Not crushing, just precise, controlled, unshakable. Silence swallowed the yard. Even the ocean seemed to pause. She leaned close enough for him to hear her steady breath. "Permission to demonstrate control, Petty Officer?" she asked calmly. He could not answer. He could barely breathe. Then she released him and stepped back, returning to attention as if nothing had happened. The humiliation was not in the fall, it was in the ease. Briggs staggered to his feet, face flushed crimson beneath the coastal sun. Around him, sailors avoided eye contact. Some stared openly. Respect had shifted like wind, changing direction before a storm. Before Briggs could regain his voice, another presence entered the yard.
Command Master Chief Alvarez had witnessed the exchange from the upper walkway, a veteran with eyes that missed nothing. He descended the steps slowly, boots deliberate against steel. "Petty Officer Briggs," Alvarez said evenly, "care to explain what I just saw?" Briggs straightened, pride warring with reality. "Sir, routine training exercise." Alvarez's gaze moved to Harper. "And you are?" Harper reached into her pocket and produced the trident, small, golden, unmistakable, the symbol of a Navy SEAL. The yard seemed to shrink. "She's attached for evaluation," Alvarez continued quietly, "with more operational deployments than most of us combined." A ripple passed through the ranks. The bullies who had laughed minutes earlier now stood rigid, their earlier smirks evaporating into something closer to shame. Briggs swallowed hard. His authority had depended on intimidation. But true authority does not shout. It does not belittle. It does not prey on those assumed weaker. Alvarez stepped closer to him. Leadership is not volume, petty officer. It's restraint. You don't test someone's strength by humiliating them. You test your own. Then he turned to Harper. You handled that with control. Yes, Master Chief. No excessive force, no ego. No, Master Chief. Alvarez nodded once. Carry on. The moment could have ended there, but lessons have weight, and weight lingers. Over the following weeks, something changed within the unit. Briggs spoke less. He corrected without cruelty. He listened. Pride had been cracked open, and through that fracture came growth. Harper never mentioned the incident, not once, but others did. They spoke of how she never boasted, how she stayed late to help weaker swimmers, how she ran beside the slowest in endurance drills, how strength in her hands felt safe. The moral was not that she could defeat a bully, it was that she didn't need to. Power restrained is power respected. Months later, Harper's temporary assignment ended. She returned to her team, back to classified missions and silent deployments. The base continued its rhythm. Recruits came and went, but the story remained. They told it to new arrivals in hushed tones, about the day the loudest man in the yard was silenced by a recruit he underestimated, about the sharp crack of impact, about the stillness that followed. It became unofficial doctrine. Respect everyone, especially the quiet ones. Years passed. Briggs eventually earned promotion, not because he dominated others, but because he changed. When asked what altered his leadership style, he would pause before answering. I met someone stronger than my ego, he would say. As for Harper, her name surfaced only in fragments, attached to operations never publicly acknowledged, a whisper in briefing rooms, a presence in stories that began with, there was this one operator. Legends are not always forged in gunfire. Sometimes they are born on cold concrete, in 3 seconds of clarity. And those who were there never forgot the image, a smaller figure standing composed, offering her hand to the very man who tried to humiliate her. Because courage does not shout, it does not need applause. Before she left that base, a young recruit once asked her how she stayed so calm when everyone laughed. Harper adjusted her cover and answered softly, words carried by the ocean wind. Skill speaks for itself. Let it.
If this story reminded you that dignity defeats arrogance, share it with someone who needs that strength today. Comment below with the word respect if you believe true power is controlled, not loud. And remember, the strongest person in the room is often the one who doesn't need to prove it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories from Tales of Courage.